Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Tran and I are getting ready to break down. Yeah, that started terrible. So I'm going to say that again. Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. It's Bama week. Tran and I are here. We ready to talk some ball, break down the Texas Longhorns versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. Texas heading to Tuscaloosa to whoop some ass and try to go 2-0 under Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian taking on his former boss and the great Nick Saban. A lot to talk about, a lot of storylines. Obviously, a rematch from last year's very disappointing 2019 loss that Texas suffered to Alabama in DKR. Trey and I are both there. Lots to discuss. But Trey, first and foremost, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Hope you're doing better, man. Still sounds like you're a little stuffed up from all the allergies and all the allergens in the air this past weekend, but hope you're feeling better.
The allergies are kicking my ass. That's how you know it's going to be a brief video. One of the things too, brevity is a good thing at times. Uh, the 5 B's, never forget them. Be brief, brother. Be brief. So, Tran, without further ado, I do. One thing we aren't going to cut out though is today's video sponsor, Aura. Aura.com/fanatic. Get your 14-day free trial. The best all-in-one digital security services platform on the market. We're talking about credit monitoring, VPN software, white glove protection services for all of your devices in the home. Guys, if you've had, you're trying to repair your credit, you're trying to get a new home, you want to make sure that you have a team behind you to help you with these elements from a standpoint of your identity, making sure your social security is protected, your social security number is protected. We all know horror stories from friends that have been compromised. So Aura is here to help with all of that, right? So check out their services platform. It is no joke. Aura.com/fanatic will get you a 14-day free trial to utilize services, see what you like. And you know what? Hey, no sweat, but at least you're doing the best you can to protect you and your loved ones. Utilize your devices. We have individual, we have family, couple, whole bit. Aura.com/fanatic. And shout out to Last Stand Hats. I know we'll be deep there, rocking our Last Stand hats merch, laststandhats.com/fanatic. Mike has some more merch on the way, including the Embrace the Hate hats that we got a sneak peek at the Rice game. Hit that promo code Fanatic10 if you want to get 10% off at checkout. Really thrilled to be partnered with these guys, official channel sponsor. Tran, any parting thoughts after the last few days on sitting on Rice? I mean, I think Monday came around after Labor Day, and it was like, all right, it's game week. I think a lot of us kind of refocused to the opponent at hand, the challenge at hand. Is there anything else that's kind of ruminating from the Rice that you want to bring up, or are you just ready to move forward into Bama prep?
To tell you the truth, I'm really ready to move forward. But I mean, you and I rewatched the game, and I think we rewatched certain plays multiple times during that. Thanks to Nash of Texas for putting that up there. Saved our asses a lot of time. But
Shout out Nash.
yeah we sat down, and I think we stayed up till what, like 2 in the morning watching that, and also Colorado, and also we watched Alabama's key plays as well. So we sat down, we broke down, and we discussed a lot. And you know, it wasn't the greatest game, but it also wasn't as bad as we envisioned it when we were just reacting emotionally. So with that said, I'm happy to move on, and I'm happy that we're facing a team that's going to have 100% our attention. And if not, I don't know what we're doing.
JT Sanders said it best in his press conference. If we're not putting up, we are going to get whooped if we're not where we need to be. A lot of talk, at least from us, about execution, right? And specifically the offense and, some of the struggles we had. in my opinion, and really looking at this game, I think this game comes down to the Texas defense in terms of their ability to kind of take the lead, take the reins in a road environment. We know defense travels. When you have an elite defense that travels, when you're facing a young, very electric quarterback, very talented quarterback in Jalen Milroe, but a young quarterback who's still learning under Tommy Reese. It's only his second game, their second game working together. I feel like there's a lot we can exploit there, right? And maybe that's our, not maybe, but I actually think this is, to me, Trent, I look at this game, I think it's going to be a very defensive ball game.
Mhm.
And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting defensive chess match from the sense of, can we force turnovers, right? Can we generate the turnovers? Can we continue to be as disruptive as we were, as efficient as we were? Really the stringing together the last few performances, even going back to last season, I've been impressed with the consistency of this defense. And now we add young pieces, like a Derek Williams, like Anthony Hill, like a Manny Muhammad. Um, you know, we got young guys playing up front. Chris Ross, who I didn't mention really on our live. Chris Ross really flashed from the edge position. Ethan Burke had his first career sack.
Mhm.
So we had a bunch of young guys that weren't even on the unit, whether they were at school or a part of the rotation, really come on and flash, Chan. So to me, when I look at how do I defend Jalen Milroe? How do I defend this Alabama attack? We saw some, like you said, the Middle Tennessee State game. Bama running more 12 personnel, smash mouth football, and play action, deep shots, but also empty personnel with Jalen Milroe as well, giving him all sorts of lanes to run. Um, I think to me that's where I'm looking to really kind of focus and emphasize on this game is actually with our defense, Trent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think honestly, we should be rushing with three. We should be attacking him with three and just keeping a spy out. Make him
With
beat us.
three,
Yeah,
we're only sending three.
I think we should make him beat us with his arm. Beat me with your arm. I want to like if you could do that, tip the hat. Like, hey, the kid's a lot better than what I thought he is. But that young man is extremely dynamic. He maybe had the play of the week last week where he fumbled the ball, turned around, did the cardinal sin of what a quarterback's supposed to do is turn his back away from the end zone, scrambled, scored a touchdown. That's the type of player we're dealing with. Now, with that said, we were extra aggressive last year. And yes, there were a couple holds that were not called, but Bryce Young was able to scramble for 15-yard clips like that. This young man, those 15-yard clips are going to just be explosive plays if that happens. So personally, me, I just want him to beat us with his arm. Of course, you mix in some blitzes just to keep him off balance. You saw what A&M did to him, flustered him. I think you said we need to get him to turn over the ball. I think he turned over the ball. I think he fumbled 4 or 5 times. Correct me if I'm wrong in that game that they played. I think he turned the ball over 4 times.
In the
So
A&M game, I know
I think,
he had a couple. I think there were two or three fumbles. I don't know if it was that many, but he fumbled the ball a bit. Now they did win, and they survived that game. But yeah, no, they forced some turnovers on him for sure.
but I think
Very
if we,
very.
yeah, we know what they want to do. They're starting to go back to old Bama days and run it down your throat. We have to play discipline. We have to tackle. We have to be tough. The way I see we win this game is if we keep the pocket clean for Quinn, and we saw what happened after he was knocked out of the game. It was a completely different team. We didn't handle offense very well. Yes, we're a different team now from last year, but I mean, just from what I saw against Rice getting pressure against us, this is a different breed of athlete that we're going against, and we've seen
Mhm.
we've seen players like Dallas Turner get pressure on them. You know that their D tackles are going to be spot on. So up the gaps are not going to be it's not going to be an easy day for our running backs. and we know what type of athletes they have on the outside too. So trying to even just bust an outside zone run play or anything like that. The way we're going to beat them is with Quinn's arm, and we have to keep the pocket clean for him. Give him that time to let some of those plays develop, so he can actually read and pick apart the defense and get it to his playmakers. Because I will put our playmakers up against their defensive backs, and I think we win that. I think we win that battle, head to head battle.
So a few things, just kind of going back to what you said. Um, I do agree. I would play coverage against Milrow. Um, I'm more inclined to send four because that's what we normally do,
Okay.
and I would like to keep our rush lanes, like But I'm not big. I'm not big on like what a lot of people are saying about spying this guy or that guy or anything. I think you have certain scenarios or situations where you may do a spy, but I'd rather play more of a matchup type zone. Keep everybody's eyes on four,
Mm-hmm.
and have proper fits and responsibilities and lanes, and play football that way. Because I think when you allow somebody to have a spy, there's a lot of times where if Alabama knows that somebody's spying Milrow, then they're going to approach their play calling from a standpoint of 11 on 10, and really just knowing that that person's keying in on four.
Yeah,
So
and that's why I said we should mix in different coverages on that, just because
yeah.
he is not educated enough, and he hasn't been in the position enough to understand the differences and read the actual coverages that PK will be disguising. So yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think that we should bring four every now and then. We should just give him different looks just to confuse him, and that's where he starts making bad decisions, and hopefully we capitalize on any bad decision.
Well, some of that is coaching too, right? What rope will Alabama give him to do that? Because Alabama's still going to lean on their running their traditional running game.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remember they have four guys that were at least four guys. This is outside of Roy Dale Williams that were 5-star running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about Jace McClellan, Richard Young, Jamarion Miller, Justice Haynes. And then you also still have Roy Dale Miller there, who's a senior. That's
An,
five running
an
backs behind.
embarrassment of riches.
I mean, it's insane, and they've gone back to that 12 personnel. That's why I'm leery on talking about last year so much
Yeah.
in their games. Now, the fumble thing is a real thing. Like we have to see if Milrow has improved ball security. I imagine he's probably paid a little bit more attention to it, knowing that his job, from a decision making standpoint, he was in a very, very heavily contested quarterback battle with Notre Dame transfer Tyler Buckner, with Ty Simpson there, who was another 5-star guy, with Dylan Lonergan, who's come on really big and really locked on with this big time arm, who's a freshman and a high end baseball prospect. Like he had to defeat all those guys to get this job and to run Tommy Rees's offense. So the decision making has to have improved, but it's also a very, very different scheme that they're running from what they were deploying with Bryce Young, and how much more open they were in spread, I would say, than this more power spread, more introverted attack that they have with these tight ends. So we have to be mindful of that. I was encouraged, and I will say from a Rice standpoint, the way my defensive line played, and I know it's Rice, blah, 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 but the technique made me feel better on how if Bama really just tries to hammer us and test manhood, I feel better about us setting the edge. I feel better about us with our run lanes, our tackling. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see. I felt like we were buttoned up there. Where
Yes.
that was that. Keep in mind, we were very good against the run last season, but the way it's also different types of attacks you see, and how they decide to run the ball. And I think in this particular case, we're buttoned up there. If we move to the offense side,
Hey,
we have to consider
real
this as
quick,
well.
real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I just did a stat check. Milrow had three turnovers. He had two fumbles and an interception. So,
Okay.
so
No, appreciate it. No, we as Texas fans, we're very centered on our view and our perspective of things, and and kind of looking at the upside and the bright side of things. If we had Quinn, if we had even going back to the Colt McCoy days, we would have won this, or if we had Quinn, we would have won that. And we're always going to look at things out of that view. But if we look at kind of all the way around and just including all approaches, then we also have to be fair in saying that Alabama now has a full year tape on Quinn Ewers that they did not have before.
Yeah.
So they have a full year of tape of his tendencies, of the things he does struggle to execute on, and some vulnerabilities that they may see, especially on the road. Now he's only played I think 3 true road games. And that's why I was hard on him last week in the Rice game, to try to clean those things up, because when you put some of those things on film, that's where a defense is really going to try to exploit you and attack you. And it may not just be a particular play, but it could be a player or something that notices something, that makes a play that could edge out the game. I also say that with the reality of what Tran said earlier, it's going to be very difficult to run the football at all. We had problems running the football against them last year, and we had
Mm-hmm.
Bijan Robinson, and Roshan Johnson in our backfield, and we still were okay running the football against them. I actually like their defense, which is kind of weird to say, but I like the way their defense is constructed and how they filled their holes more than I liked their defense last year with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. I think Bama's a lot more multiple now. And they have a rock star freshman safety, bona fide stud, and Caleb Downs back there. You have a all-pro NFL corner, potentially, in Kool-Aid McKinstry, or first-round pick, I should say, NFL corner, who we were cooking last year, but they don't let them tell you that we need to go and try to attack again, right? And so where do we have opportunities to attack Alabama? I think Tran is right in terms of our playmakers, but how do we get them the football in an efficient manner? I think our screen game, I think our window dressing on certain things, and overall just our execution, we're going to have to make plays.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are going to have to be playmakers. Look, there's going to be times where Quinn Ewers is going to drop back, and Alabama has that shit covered. Who's going to make a play? Who's going to reroute from coverage? Who's going to break out of the pocket and make a play on the move? Right? Run game last week. Run game was really frustrating. One of the things that stood out to us was Jaden Blue just started making it happen. Right? Got something when nothing was there. They're going to have to do that against Alabama. They're going to have to get dirty yards. Not everything's going to be clean, but if you can stay positive and stay out of the turnover column, I think you have a really good shot. And Texas, I think, you want to fill out the game early, especially after you get through your opening script. But if I'm the offense and we know that it's going to be tough to come by points, taking care of the football and going on some drives and maybe you have to punt a few times is not bad if you're looking to try to stay in the game and win the game and be more strategic, right? I think we struggled at times last year where we were kind of in a more defensive game, but we still tried to play fast or do other things and be this explosive offense when we really should have been a complementary offense to the defense. And maybe we have a different result, i.e. TCU, where we're going 3 and out so quickly every single possession, and our defense playing the game of their lives. I think in this type of game, for me, see what you got early. I would love to get up early too, Trent, because I will say this: is Alabama built to come back
Yeah.
with Jalen Burrow? If they're down 10, if they're down 14, I think that's why this first quarter we talk about Sark and his scripting. It's going to be critical to see how those components play out very early in the game, as we saw last year, where Texas was able to get out to a really good start.
I agree. I agree. I think it's like you stated at the beginning of the pod, is that it's going to be a defensive battle, and it's the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to come out on top. And I really do think it's going to be a very close game. And I hope one thing that we're not really speaking of, or we haven't, is the emotional aspect of it, and us not having the comforts of our home crowd behind us. we saw what happened when we were in. We saw the last time we played in hostile territory. What happened to us? And I think one of our fans or wrote in. He goes, I'm still having nightmares about that ass beating that Arkansas put on us. I know we're a different team. I know we're a different team than that. However, the I need to be shown it. So that's one thing that really
Yeah.
does. That's the thing that scares me the most about this game is the uncertainty of how much the home crowd is going to play in this.
Well, I mean, Texas, if you want to be the big dogs, you're gonna have to play well on the
No,
road.
no, I 100% agree with you.
And I think this the crowd, to your point, where will that be an issue? I think that's an issue in terms of our offensive line communication, right? And making sure that our protections are on point and our line calls are accurate depending on what type of fronts are happening. I think that's where crowd can be an issue. Obviously, it can rattle the quarterback as well, but I'm really curious to see what type of offensive line combination we have in the interior, because they're going to try to mix some things up. But I will say this as well. I do believe that Texas can target certain areas on Alabama, from a defensive standpoint to nullify some of that stuff on this defensive matchup, especially my defensive line and that right side of the Alabama offensive line. I think we can make some money there. And I think we can actually capitalize. You talked about emotion. What about the emotion that Jalen Milroe has coming into this game?
Playing against
This
his
is,
childhood. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is a guy who wanted to be the Texas quarterback, was a commit of ours for over a year, and was out there recruiting very, very hard. The staff at the time, I mean, we know the story. The staff at the time goes and Mike Gersich comes on board as offensive coordinator and goes and recruits Quinn Ewers, who then commits to Texas. And Jalen Milroe, 3 days later, decommits from Texas and ultimately commits to Alabama and felt slighted. And ever since then, that chip has been there. And I think, he's obviously going to be going face, head to head, we should say, against the guy who was, for all intents and purposes, recruited over him, Quinn Ewers. So Texas, sometimes you can capitalize on those emotions, i.e., what do we mean? A guy doing too much, right? Or a guy that wants it too bad. Can we stay within our heads? Can we stay composed? There's going to be adversity in this game. There's going to be things that pop up that nobody on any of these platforms has discussed. How does Texas manage themselves and keep their heads, right? Sark, there's always a storyline with Sark and Saban going against your former boss and all these type of things. And it is. I think it is going to be interesting now. Alabama, I think, respects Texas a little bit more after last year's game, especially from a physicality standpoint. I think they're going to try to raise up the heat in the kitchen another notch on the physicality side, Tran. I really do. What overall, man? Let's get to predictions. What are your predictions for the game? How do you see this thing really playing out in your mind?
I have it like I said. So I think the line right now is like 7.5 points or something like that for Alabama. Alabama's like a minus 7.5. I don't know if anything's changed, but I think that's the last thing I heard. And I think that the total points was like 54. I think 54 and a
Interesting.
half, something like that. So I would actually take the under on the 54 and a half, just because I really did like we've talked about is the new rule with the clock and how Alabama now runs their offense is that they're a running team. If we're tackling, the clock's going to continue to run and it's going to shorten the game. I have Alabama honestly 27, Texas 24, Alabama.
Why? Why are you giving Alabama the slight edge?
I the prove it to me, Texas type of thing. If this was at home, I think it would be flipped because I mean the only real big, I guess, road win I've seen in a long time is was Kansas State last year, and let's be honest, Kansas State is not Alabama.
Yeah.
So
So,
I hope I'm wrong.
yeah, no,
I hope I'm wrong, but
I hope so too. Um, I have Alabama winning this game. I've been consistent on that since the offseason when I picked Texas to go 10-2. Um, I had I had Alabama winning this one. Um, a big reason why is I don't see how we can beat Nick Saban if we can't run the football at all. And I don't see the vision right now where we're gonna have this. If we're able to pop off running the football and help Quinn, then I think we are able to put together a lot more points on the board. I just don't see where we're going to struggle to run the football and put all this on Quinn, and he's struggles as a playmaking type quarterback, somebody that can create out of nothing. And I think points are going to be difficult to come by. So you guys are going to kill us because we're both picking Bama here, but
the only way
yeah.
yeah, the only way I'm sorry. Go ahead and give your actual like point prediction. Sorry.
Oh, my score.
Yeah.
I actually have Alabama 24, Texas 16. So I have Alabama covering. Um, I think it, I think our defense is going to look great in this game, and I think they might run out of gas because they're on the field a little too much. I think it's going to be one of those games.
So I say the only way we're actually going to probably find holes is if we execute on first down and then we go tempo on them. I think that's the only way we'll find holes from a run game perspective, kind of like old school Oklahoma. Remember Oklahoma with Sam Bradford days? They won on first down. They would get to the line and they would just do a quick draw
Yep.
play just to catch people off guard. And that's the way you have to tire down a physical, fast defense. Is you have to tire them down, and hopefully we could do that. If we could do that, I feel like we could be very successful against this defense.
Fingers crossed. Guys, don't beat us up. We look. I would love nothing more than for Texas to win this game, and let us know in the comment section. Right, hit that like button. Let us know, uh, your overall thoughts and predictions for this game. I mean, I think Texas can win this game for sure. I
Same,
really do. I think
same.
they can win the game. But if the way I pick is I kind of look at it like if we were to play 10 times, we were to play 20 times, how many times would we win versus them? Right. And when I start to look at that, that's like, okay, that's where I'm kind of leaning in terms of picking one game. And then score outcomes kind of random, but we know how I can kind of see game flow where, we get on, uh, Burt Auburn is involved and has a pretty nice day kicking the ball, but maybe some struggles getting into the end zone because of the lack of run game. Now, if you're able to give me some type of run game at some capacity, and I'll even take some of the screen stuff too, then we're in business. It's a different animal. But for right now, I'm gonna stay with Bama. I know Tran is too. It breaks our hearts to say that, but we got to be honest. We got to keep it a buck here. Now, Tran, we will be watching when we'll do post game coverage on Saturday, late night after the game, and just talk with you guys as fans. Look, I want nothing more for Texas to win. It's just we just picking games because we got to make a pick. But at the end of the day, it's all Texas all day,
Yeah,
and what we want to see from the team and what we know that they're capable of. So, with that being said, like I said, the 5 Bs, be brief, brother, be brief. Horns, always up. Appreciate you, Trent.
appreciate you, brother.